Welcome everyone to the channel, Insane Criminal Cases. We will tell you about the shocking criminal cases in the world. The topic of today's video will definitely interest you. Now let's find out. The financial scandal involving Thinh Phat Group and its chairwoman, Truong My Lan, is one of the most complex and high-profile corruption cases in recent Vietnamese history. At the center of this controversy is the alleged massive loan of more than1 Vietnamese dong quadrillion, approximately $40 billion, from Saigon Commercial Bank, SCB, and the misappropriation of 304 trillion Vietnamese dongs, around $12.7 billion. This case has shocked the financial market in Vietnam and around the world. It also reminds everyone to be alert in managing their own finances. The Thinh Phat Empire and its financial network. Thinh Phat, established in the early 1990s, quickly grew into a real estate and investment behemoth, controlling some of the most valuable land and projects in Vietnam. Under Truong My Lan's leadership, the company expanded into various sectors, including luxury real estate, hospitality, infrastructure, and finance, through strategic partnerships, leveraging connections, and aggressive expansion. Thinh Phat became one of Vietnam's most influential conglomerates. However, behind this veneer of success, there were growing concerns about how Thinh Phat financed its rapid growth. As a privately held corporation, the company's internal workings remained largely opaque to the public and investors. Rumors of questionable financial dealings swirled for years, but it wasn't until 2022 that the full extent of the alleged wrongdoing began to surface. The link between Thinh Phat and SCB is at the heart of the scandal. SCB, one of the largest private banks in Vietnam, reportedly provided a loan exceeding 1 million billion VND, $40 billion to Thinh Phat and its related entities. This figure is astronomical, representing a substantial portion of the bank's total capital. The nature of this loan has raised numerous red flags, as the scale of borrowing seems disproportionate even for a corporation as large as Thinh Phat. Reports suggest that the loan was secured using Thinh Phat's vast real estate holdings as collateral. These properties, many of which are located in prime areas such as Ho Chi Minh City's District 1, were presented as highly valuable assets. However, there are accusations that the value of these properties was grossly inflated, which would mean the collateral did not adequately cover the loan amount. This potentially fraudulent inflation of asset values was part of the scheme that ultimately allowed Thinh Phat to borrow far more than its real capacity. The most shocking aspect of this scandal is the alleged embezzlement of 304 trillion Vietnamese dongs, nearly $12.7 billion, a figure that dwarfs most corruption cases in Vietnam's history. The method by which this money was siphoned off is still under investigation, but initial reports suggest that it involved a complex web of financial manipulation, including illegal bond issuance, fraudulent loans, and the laundering of funds through a series of shell companies and offshore accounts. It appears that Truong My Lan and her associates at Thinh Phat used a combination of corporate bonds and intercompany transactions to move money out of the SCB loan into private accounts. Bonds issued by Thinh Phat were sold to investors, but the proceeds from these bonds were not used to finance legitimate business activities. Instead, they were allegedly diverted into personal accounts or used to pay off earlier debts in a classic Ponzi scheme structure, where new debt is used to cover old debt, all the while creating the illusion of financial health. As the investigation deepens, there are also indications that some of the embezzled funds may have been laundered through offshore companies and hidden in foreign bank accounts, making it difficult for authorities to trace and recover the stolen assets. Money laundering is a common tactic in large-scale financial frauds, as it helps obscure the origin of the funds and allows the perpetrators to enjoy their illicit gains without raising suspicion. Money laundering is a critical aspect of this case, and Truong My Lan is believed to have played a central role in orchestrating these activities. Money laundering involves disguising the origins of illegally obtained money, typically by passing it through a complex sequence of banking transfers or commercial transactions. In the case of Thinh Phat, the vast sums of money allegedly embezzled from SCB were funneled through various channels to make them appear legitimate. Investigators have found evidence suggesting that Truong My Lan used a network of shell companies. both in Vietnam and internationally, to launder the embezzled funds. These companies, many of which were registered in offshore financial havens with lax regulatory oversight, were used to move money across borders without attracting attention from authorities. By spreading the funds across multiple jurisdictions, Truong My Lan and her associates were able to avoid detection for years. Additionally, there are reports that a portion of the funds was invested in high-value assets abroad, including luxury properties and businesses in countries with strong financial privacy laws. These assets, now under scrutiny, may represent part of the stolen 304 trillion Vietnamese dong. Recovering these funds will be a complex process, requiring international cooperation and legal action in multiple countries. The embezzlement of such a staggering sum of money has had profound consequences for SCB and the broader Vietnamese financial system. SCB, already a key player in Vietnam's banking sector, found itself in a precarious position after the scale of the fraud became public. The bank's exposure to Thinh Phat through the massive loan and the questionable collateral behind it raised serious concerns about its solvency. To stabilize the situation, the Vietnamese government and the State Bank of Vietnam stepped in, providing financial support to SCB and initiating investigations into the bank's operations. This intervention was crucial in preventing a potential collapse of SCB, which could have triggered a broader financial crisis. However, the bank's reputation has been severely damaged, and its ability to recover from this scandal remains uncertain. The Vietnamese government has taken a hard stance on corruption in recent years, and the Thinh Phat scandal is likely to become a landmark case in the country's anti-corruption efforts. Truong My Lan, along with several other executives from Thinh Phat and SCB, has been arrested and charged with multiple offenses, including fraud, embezzlement, and money laundering. Authorities are also working to recover the stolen funds, though this process is expected to be lengthy and complex. The seizure of Thinh Phat's assets, including its real estate holdings, is underway, and efforts are being made to trace the embezzled money through the web of offshore accounts and shell companies. However, the full extent of the damage may never be fully uncovered, as a significant portion of the funds may have been moved beyond the reach of Vietnamese authorities. The legal proceedings against Truong My Lan are ongoing, but if convicted, she faces severe penalties, including lengthy prison sentences and the forfeiture of her assets. The case has drawn widespread attention both domestically and internationally, with many viewing it as a test of Vietnam's commitment to tackling high-level corruption. For Truong My Lan, the legal consequences are just beginning. The charges of money laundering and embezzlement are grave, and the extent of her involvement in orchestrating such a large-scale financial scheme will likely result in one of the most significant corporate fraud prosecutions in Vietnamese history. Her sentence could be life imprisonment or even the death penalty. Thank you for watching our video. Insane Criminal Cases. Chanel hopes you have had great entertainment moments. Wish you all the best.